Our program is not funded by big corporations. It is not funded by big media conglomerates. It's mostly funded by you, members of our audience, through something called David Pakman Show Membership Program. And today's new member of the day is William Kuykendall. William Kuykendall, thank you so much for being a David Pakman Show member. William gets the world famous bonus show, the commercial-free audio feed of the show, the commercial-free TV feed of the show. So much other great stuff. And if you want to get a free 2016 Patriot Mail calendar with your membership for a few more days at minimum, you can do that at davidpakman.com/calendar16. All right. 3 years ago this week, country singer Trace Adkins wore a Confederate flag during his performance on an NBC Christmas special. The flag was printed on his earpiece that he was wearing. It was very much visible on camera, and there was outrage, and ultimately we did receive an explanation from Mr. Adkins. He said, quote, "As a proud American," this is amazing, "as a proud American, I object to oppression of any kind. To me, the battle flag represents remembrance of my Southern lineage. I am a descendant of Confederate soldiers who followed that flag into battle. I advocate for the preservation of America's battlefields and honest conversation about our country's history. To those who view the flag as a symbol of racism, that was not my message, and I did not intend offense." At the time, there was not as much hubbub over the Confederate flag, right? I mean, more recently, we have seen the hubbub over the Confederate flag increase significantly. I think the reaction would probably be different if he were to do this today. And you know what? Maybe he does do it today at concerts. I have no idea because I can't stand this guy. I actually once saw this guy in concert. I was inadvertently dragged to a country music concert, and this guy shows up and talks about how great it was to have Bush and Cheney there to patriotically lead us into Iraq, and it was just disgusting.
That sounds pretty terrible. Yeah, of course, what was maybe a year ago, there was all the commotion around the, it kind of came to a head around the Confederate flag, resulting in many buildings removing the Confederate flag from their property, state buildings. And yeah, Dave, I think it's not as acceptable this day and age.
And he talks about how he doesn't want to ignore the history of the country and that the Confederate flag is a part of that. Fine, but then we have to remember that the Confederate flag was inextricably connected to slavery and racism, even if that's, I like how all these guys say, that's not what it represents for me. Well, it may not represent that for you because you have no idea what the Confederate flag was connected to, right? Just because it doesn't represent that for you doesn't mean that it wasn't connected to some horrible, vile stuff.
Yeah, I guess you could make the same swastika argument, but
listen, for me, it's just about the unification of Germany and how great and unified Germany is. Okay, that's terrific that that's what it is for you. For many other people, it's not that, and empirically speaking, that's not the only thing it represents.
Yeah, and so I think it was a poor decision. By comparison, Phil Anselmo,
right,
a singer from Pantera,
huge.
Pantera used to use the Confederate flag when they played, in some of their imagery. And after all that stuff happened about a year ago, Phil Anselmo was questioned about it, and he said that he regrets using that image.
Sure. And that's respectable, right? Because you could say, oh, he's backtracking and he's scared of the PC police. This is not the show for the PC police, right? We use the term Islamic terror. We tell it like it is with regard to a lot of issues that the so-called PC left, and I for lack of a better term, I use that term, is hesitant to use. For me, recognizing that the Confederate flag is a vile symbol of so many things that are completely against American values as we understand them to be today, I'm not afraid to say that whatsoever, and it's not a PC thing. It's just a reality.
Yeah. Being PC has nothing to do with it. It's, and I think a lot of our listeners agree with us.